Greetings, my friends, and welcome to No Nonsense Metal Reviews. I'm George, and I'm back with another seasonal special. If you couldn't tell, if you couldn't quite guess from the authentic pumpkin decorations that I have here beside me, it is, of course, Halloween. So, that time of year has come once again. Whether you love it or you hate it, whether you celebrate it or you don't, Halloween, certainly here in the Western world, is kind of a big deal. Certainly commercially and in terms of every shop and store selling sweets and rubbishy decorations and costumes and stuff. Certainly here in the UK and, of course, our American cousins across the pond very much embrace Halloween. Not really sure about the rest of the world, but hey, Halloween, kind of a big thing. And with that time of year, there's always certain music that really does fit the vibe. Certainly when we're thinking of the general associations with Halloween of pumpkins and ghosts and skeletons and witches and the undead and all these very metal themes. It certainly brings certain albums to mind. It certainly brings certain songs and bands to mind that provide the perfect soundtrack to Halloween. So whether you celebrate Halloween or not, if you're a metalhead, here's a rundown of 10 great albums, amazing albums, some absolute all-time classics and some deeper cuts that will provide a wonderful soundtrack to this spooky time of year. So, album, and this is in no order of preference. I've deliberately just picked these albums, although I did actually spend quite a long time trying to deliberate which albums would go in this list. I have deliberately not ranked them as such, so it's just 10 albums in any order, but still, they're perfect for this time of year. So, Halloween is obviously very theatric. It's a very theatric, over-the-top kind of time of year, I should say. And the legendary King Diamond is a very over-the-top and theatric kind of guy. And you could argue that pretty much any of King Diamond, that Denmark legend, that Danish metal god that he is, any of his solo albums, or any of the albums that he has been involved with, could be contenders for Halloween soundtracks. But I'm trying to avoid just going for the most obvious ones, necessarily. And I've gone for album number 5 from 1990. This is The Eye. Now, this is a criminally underrated album, but I absolutely love this album. I think it's a truly fantastic album. Great cover as well. Terrific cover. But this is just excellent. Over-the-top heavy metal. Very heavy. Some cracking riffs on here as well. Absolutely brilliant. It's got the classic lineup here of the King alongside Andy LaRoche. We've got Peter Black, Hal Bettino, and Snowy Shaw as well. Classic lineup, but really it's about the songs. Perfect for Halloween. We've got the absolutely brilliant opening title track, Eye of the Witch, which is absolutely amazing. One of my favourite King Diamond songs. It's absolutely fantastic. It's creepy with those kind of keys going on there. Sinister sounding stuff. Perfect King Diamond material. The Trial, another excellent track. Heavy, sinister, ominous, and theatric. We've got Burn. We've got the very creepy interlude of Two Little Girls, which is very sinister. Into the Convent. And The Meetings. Insanity, that little intro into... It's just some more great tracks. Overall, this is a really good album. It's very well written. It's a heavy album. You know, the King, he was doing a lot, very busy around that time. Not to go into it too much, but this is a great album. Very theatric, dark, creepy, perfect for Halloween. So we've got King Diamond with The Eye from 1990. So generally, I tend to think of Halloween as less of a sinister, evil, satanic worship kind of time of year, and more as a bit of fun. You know, I don't really embrace Halloween all that much, but actually, I think it is about having fun. Having said that, I quite like the occult stuff and the satanic imagery as well, but I also like to have a good time. And when I want to have a good time, I think some old school Slayer is just what you need. So I'm saying that Slayer's debut album from 1983, Show No Mercy, is a very fitting soundtrack for Halloween. It embraces the dark side of things. We have lots of references to evil has no boundaries and the Antichrist. We've also got hints of witchery in black magic. We've also got just some outright face melting metal in the form of Fight Till Death, Metal Storm, Face the Slayer, and The Final Command. But this is a great album. I absolutely love the debut. I think it's a truly fantastic album. It's very dark, actually, and it's got that kind of sinister, almost dangerous kind of vibe to it. It's the classic Slayer lineup of Jeff, Tom, Kerry, and Dave. It's brilliant. It's fast. It's thrashing. Yeah, definitely. Still very much firmly rooted in good old traditional heavy metal and new wobble. Definitely rooted in that. But with all those references, as I say, to Satan, to dying by the sword, to black magic, it's a short and sweet, thrashing album full of just great ripping tracks that really do work at this glorious time of year. Slayer, Show No Mercy. Up next, this I could not leave from this list, and I have actually done a Halloween recommendations in previous years. I think I did one last year, and I'm pretty sure that the most recent Mystic Circle album, Daemon, featured. I always worry that I'm mispronouncing that, but pretty sure this did feature in that list, and with good reason. Symphonic, epic, black metal, very heavy at times, almost verging on kind of black and death metal. But this album, not only is it just a brilliant album, but it is incredibly theatric. It's got lots of themes associated or perfect for this time of year in the form of tracks like the opening title track, Earth's Daemon. Certainly From Hell, that is a very sinister track. Unholy Trinity. The Scarecrow, amazing. It's a brilliant track and actually includes the lyrics Trick or Treat. Perfect. Welcome to the Midnight Mass, The Mothman, and Skinwalker. But not to forget my favourite track of this album, Asmodeus and the Temple of God. So as I say, this is black metal, this is very epic, very theatric, very heavy as well, that is to note. But it's just an all-round brilliant album. But it always does remind me of Halloween. I think maybe I was listening to it a lot last year around that time, but it's an easygoing album. It's not really in your face, forcing you to worship Satan. Not by any means. It's more like horror movie level evil rather than actual genuine evil. Mystic Circle from Germany, absolutely fantastic band, amazing band they are, with Earth's Daemon. So, keeping evil, keeping with the kind of the vibes of evil, but still having a bit of fun, having a good time, but maybe turning up the sleaze a notch or two. US one-man blackened speed thrash outfit, Midnight, with, I think this is album number 4, Rebirth by Blasphemy. This is one of the longer Midnight albums, clocking in at over 30 minutes. This album, I will admit, this was a kind of a last-minute switch. Originally, I was going to recommend Hellish Expectations, the most recent album, which is an amazing album. Again, perfect for Halloween. Lots of evil vibes going on there. It's sinister. It's got that kind of filthy, gritty, visceral nastiness that good old school Venom, early Venom had. But I absolutely love Midnight, and for some reason I just kept thinking, but what about Rebirth by Blasphemy? Because that's one hell of an album. And it really is. Short and sweet, but still one of the longer efforts. But it boasts some amazing tracks, such as the opening epic fucking Speed and Darkness, a poetic masterpiece there, that sees this blackened speed rock and roll machine bursting forth in epic diabolical fashion. Escape the Grave, amazing track. Devil's Excrement, Rockin' and Rollin'. One of the album highlights, Rising Scum, is so groovy, it's so catchy, it's just infectious. You know, if you're having a Halloween party, chuck on some Midnight. This is perfect soundtrack stuff. Warning from the Reaper, Raw Attack, Sounds from Hell, You Can Drag Me Through Fire. Perfect. Fun for the whole family. I probably wouldn't play this at a children's Halloween party. That might not be such a good idea. But if you're looking for a little bit of speed and a little bit of evil to accompany your trick-or-treat this year, then Midnight, Rebirth by Blasphemy from 2020. Excellent album. Freaking love that one. So we're going to stick with something speed. I've been enjoying my thrash and black metal and speed metal, all that good stuff recently, and another kind of last minute switch for another speedy album from another speedy band that really do well combining that kind of evil black metal vibe with upbeat Motorhead Venom inspired stuff. Hellripper, and the album I've decided that's probably the most Halloween related, not just because of the witch trial aesthetics on the album cover there, but because of the songs as well. This is The Affair of the Poisons from 2020 as well. That was a good year for diabolical speed metal, clearly. A cracking album. The second full length. I will admit, the album that I initially went for was the most recent album, Warlock's Grim and Withered Hags from 2023. 2022, in fact. Or is it 2023? I can't remember. My years are totally askewed, but that's a great album. But this one I've been coming back to a lot lately. Why is it perfect for Halloween? Well, with tracks like Spectres of the Blood Moon Sabbath, that could very well be the title of a Halloween-inspired horror film. I don't know, something like that anyway. It sounds perfect. It's rockin', rollin', blackened speed metal. Absolutely guaranteed to get you up and moving at this time of year. Vampire's Grave, Beyond the Convent Walls, hey, reference to the church, the most evil thing of all. Savage Blasphemy, Hexennacht, Blood Orgy of the She-Devils, The Hanging Tree. I didn't pick this just for the song titles and the lyrical thematics, but they are certainly suitable for Halloween. And actually, this is just a great album. It's enjoyable. It's not overly serious. And I think that's the brilliant thing about, you know, bands like Midnight, like Hellripper, like Mystic Circle. It's not overly serious. You know, there's enough severity in the world without getting overly serious all the time and making our Halloween all about worshipping Satan. Make it about worshipping Satan, but also having fun. Hellripper, another Black and Speed one-man outfit, of course, from Scotland. James McBain, a legend. Affair of the Poisons, another cracking album. So moving away from black metal and speed metal, we're going to get something now for the fans of the gore. If you like your horror movies, maybe your horror slasher films, I don't know. I'm not a horror movie fan myself. Way too easily scared. Can't really deal with that. Don't like nightmares either. But if you're a fan of gore and Halloween relevant music, then what about the debut album from Florida death metal gods and founding fathers, Death, with Scream Bloody Gore, of course. Now, I know there's an inexhaustible supply of death metal albums out there which are gory and grotesque, and you could say is perfect for Halloween, for all the family to enjoy. However, I think there's also a lot of stuff that's a little bit too kind of serious, and although Scream Bloody Gore is a very serious effort from Chuck Schuldiner, the legendary Chris Reifert, amongst others, of course, not to go too much into that, but this is also a little bit of fun, and it's got tracks such as the great opening track, Infernal Death, which is an all-time classic, of course, but then we've got Zombie Ritual, we've got Sacrificial, Mutilation, Regurgitated Guts, the absolutely amazing Baptized in Blood, Evil Dead, Scream Bloody Gore, Beyond the Unholy Grave. This is just a catalogue of tracks that totally bring those Halloween horror movie vibes to mind. Not only that, but it's a legendary death metal album, still very firmly rooted in the more aggressive end of thrash metal, of course, being 1987. And it's just an amazing album. I mean, that album cover, perfect for Halloween. Skulls and the undead and all sorts of stuff going on. Awesome. A truly legendary album, one of my favourite death metal albums, one of the best death metal debuts of all time. Cracking riffs, unhallowed vocals. What's not to love? Death, Scream, Bloody Gore. Your fix of gory death metal this Halloween. Taking a return to things a little bit more speedy, a little bit faster, but we're going to go to 1984 for not an album, but a long EP, essentially. So with the bonus track, it's about 28 minutes long, but certainly one of the most evil sounding recordings that I've ever heard, and a fantastic legendary release. We are going with the unholy evil of Hellhammer, with of course the Apocalyptic Raids EP. Now this really is some of the most evil material that I've ever heard. Hailing from Switzerland, boasting a few notable names that then appeared a year or so later as Celtic Frost, of course, Tom G. Warrior, Eric Martin Ain, and of course Bruce Day on drums as well. But this unholy effort is really evil stuff. Evil in the kind of Venom, Welcome to Hell, black metal kind of sound, where it's just so raw. Certainly Welcome to Hell, but this is just such a raw sound. It's nasty. It's the kind of stuff where you're listening to it and you just feel like you deserve to go to hell for listening to this. This is evil stuff, but it's also amazing. Innovators of speed metal, black metal. This is proper first wave black metal stuff here. It's killer. Absolutely killer. Kicks off with the Third of the Storms, Massacre. Evil freaking brilliance this is. But of course, Triumph of Death, the unholy, unhallowed, epic track that is just essentially 8 minutes plus of Tom G. Warrior just screaming, which is amazing. Horus Aggressor, Revelations of Doom, and Messiah. Absolutely love it. You know, the aesthetics, everything about it is just so brilliant. Look at that very young, youthful Tom and Bruce and Martin. Legends, absolute legends. But short and sweet, freaking brilliant evil stuff. If you're not familiar with Hellhammer, if you like Hell Ripper, if you like Venom, certainly if you like Celtic Frost, that's a big giveaway, then you're gonna dig Hellhammer. Absolutely evil, and it always reminds me of the darker days and nights. I just love it. It's got such magic to it. It's satanic magic and majesty. Absolutely freaking love it. Short and sweet, evil. Perfect if you're feeling like you need to spend your Halloween out in a cold, frosty field in the dead of night with nothing but a pumpkin with a candle in it to light your way. Love it. Sticking with black metal then, and another band that I have been singing the praises of for a while now. The most recent album, Fenic, from the mighty The Infernal Sea. So this is a 2024 release, and this is a perfect album for this time of year, for Halloween. It's cold. It's also evil as can be. It's raw black metal, and it is very raw. Combining some of the good, I want to say more traditional kind of rock and roll elements that we had combined in bands like Venom, of course, or Celtic Frost. They've kind of got that vibe going on as well, but it is very raw. It is freaking brilliant stuff though. Caustic, black metal. And it's all about witches, witch trials, the Witchfinder General, all that good stuff. Perfect for Halloween. If you like a bit of witch burning and witch drowning, then Hell, the Infernal Sea and Hell Fenic has it in spades. Lord Abhorrent, whoa, what a hell of a track that is. Shadow of the Beast, Witchfinder, The Hunt, my personal favourite. The Hunter, rather, absolutely evil. Bastard of the East, Black Witchery, Frozen Fen. You know what? This is actually one of my favourite albums of 2024. It's also one of my favourite black metal albums of recent years, and it is so evil, perfect for Halloween. Absolutely freaking love it. So get spooky, get witchy, and listen to the Infernal Sea. Hell Fenic, caustic, ripping black metal. Nothing to not like about that album. So going back to the albums, the kind of albums that are a little bit more fun. Can't talk about Halloween, witches, without mentioning Nuwobum Godfathers Angel Witch with their self-titled debut album from 1980. Now, I've always loved Angel Witch, and I can't be too specific on the year that I got into Angel Witch. I can't remember, but I was very young, a very early teen, and I thought that this was some of the most evil sounding or kind of sinister sounding heavy metal I had ever heard. Thought, wow, all these songs about witches and the Gorgon. It's evil. It's evil stuff. It almost felt like, again, it's got that same kind of character and magic that early Venom has, or early Celtic Frost has. That title track is an absolute legendary track. It's such a defining track. But also tracks like Atlantis. These are really heavy songs. And I was listening to this album again yesterday, giving it a revisit in anticipation of this review. Obviously, listen to it quite frequently, to be honest. This is a regular reach for when you're having a few beers on a Friday, Saturday night. But this is a really heavy album. And tracks like Atlantis, White Witch, certainly the penultimate track, Angel of Death, that's incredibly heavy. That's right up there with Diamond Head's Am I Evil for that time. Or, Iron Maiden Wrathchild. They're really up there for stuff that's actually really quite cutting edge heaviness. Sweet Danger is a thoroughly enjoyable track, as is Sorcerers and Confused. So it's got some more upbeat kind of groove along, have a little bit of a headbang and rock out 2 tracks. But actually, it's got a real darkness and kind of, but in a fun way. Darkness and a kind of, I guess, magic to it. You could say it's almost a bit of an angelic album. Probably not that far, but it's a lot of fun and it's just really enjoyable. New wave of British heavy metal from one of the most underrated bands from that movement. And of course, short-lived, had a lot of stops and starts and hiatuses, and they've come back in recent years and done some things, but this is such a classic. And it's also a legendary album cover, perfect for Halloween. Angel Witch with their self-titled debut. Now we've gone full circle, because now we are going to go back to 1983. We're also going to go back to the debut album from Merciful Fate. Full circle, because we started with King Diamond, now we've gone back to Merciful Fate. This absolute masterpiece, Melissa. You can't talk about Halloween and not talk about this. Any Merciful Fate album could be a contender for a perfect album for Halloween. I know that previously, the one album I can really truly remember recommending was Don't Break the Oath, the second album from 1984. But Melissa is such a magical album. I freaking love it. It's one of those albums where no matter how many times you've heard it, soon as the opening track, Evil, really kicks in, those riffs start coming through, King Diamond's soaring vocals could break through the instrumentation, you get goosebumps. The hairs on your arm are standing on end. Evil is amazing. Then you get the more heavy metal, up-tempo, grooving Curse of the Pharaohs, which is also freaking evil. This is a very evil sounding album. Of course, we know King Diamond, his aesthetics. is incredibly evil. But this is a really evil sounding album. It's perfect because it's very theatric. It's enjoyable because it's brilliant in terms of its instrumentation. You know, we've got Kim Ruz on drums, Hank Sherman lead guitars alongside the King, Mike Denner on lead guitars, and Timmy Grabber on bass. Fantastic musicians. Cannot fault their musicianship one little bit. Couple of brilliant intro tracks there. Then we've got Into the Coven. Great track. The sound of the demon bell, which of course opens with the soaring Halloween from the legendary King himself. Black Funeral into Satan's Fall, that epic, creepy theatrical masterpiece, before the slightly slower paced Melissa closing track. Very grand though. It's an amazing album. I absolutely love Melissa. It's a contender for my favourite Merciful Fate album, definitely. I think it's absolutely superb. But it's one of the perfect albums for Halloween. And when I started putting this list together, this was one of the first albums to feature in that list. Absolutely brilliant. Traditional heavy metal, first wave black metal, absolutely perfect atmosphere. It's got perfect Halloween vibes. Absolutely freaking love it. So there we have it. 10 albums that if you're looking for something metal, something heavy, something enjoyable, you know, I'll admit, I've deliberately avoided some of the more overtly evil and satanic stuff because I think, like I say, it should be about having a bit of fun as well. Life is serious enough without making Halloween ultra depressing. And certainly if you enjoy the more, shall we say, more pagan festivities around this time of year with the thinning of the veil, then actually these are some great albums to enjoy too. 10 metal albums to enjoy for your Halloween soundtrack, whether you celebrate Halloween or not. Just to recap, we got the mighty King Diamond with The Eye from 1990. We've got Bay Area thrash legend Slayer with their debut Show No Mercy from 1983. We've got Earth's Daemon from Germany's Mystic Circle from 2023. Symphonic epic black metal, aggressive and stunning. Midnight, blackened speed metal with Midnight's fourth album, I'm pretty sure it's their fourth album, Rebirth by Blasphemy. Second album from Hellripper, The Affair of the Poisons. Witchy, black magic, evil excellence. Thoroughly enjoyable. Debut album from Death, Florida Death Metal Gods, Scream Bloody Gore, the founding fathers of that whole movement. Hellhammer, Apocalyptic Raids, freaking evil. Some of the most unholy recordings ever to be laid down. Freaking love it. From 1984. The Infernal Sea, caustic, sinister black metal from East Anglia with Fenic, The Infernal Sea. Great stuff. Absolutely love it. Angel Witch, debut self-titled album from 1980. And of course, last but not least, Merciful Fate with Melissa. What are your thoughts and opinions on these bands, on these albums? And also, what albums do you reach for at Halloween? What are the perfect albums for your Halloween soundtrack? What are your go-tos? Do you celebrate Halloween? Do you not? To be honest, it's just an excuse to have a little bit of fun, listen to some spooky music, and drink beer. That's what I'll be doing anyway. So what are your thoughts, my friends? Do get involved. Interested to hear thoughts and opinions of others, as always. But thank you very much for watching this harmless bit of fun. Do remember, this is all based on my opinion, so please do share yours, but let's keep this civilized. Thanks for watching, my friends. Do feel free to like, subscribe, share, support. It's greatly appreciated, as always. Do check back soon for more reviews and recommendations of all the good, heavy things. Until next time, take care of yourselves, my friends, and above all, stay heavy.